Debt handout will cost you, the American taxpayer, $400 billion over the next decade. That, according to a new estimate from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. But the White House is full steam ahead anyway.
We'll have something to share on that very, very soon on the application process and the next steps. Once we have that, we'll share with all of you.
Robert Henneke is the executive director of the Texas Public Policy Foundation and joins us now. Robert, the midterm elections are November 8th. You just have to wonder if those next steps on student loans cancellation is going to come out on November 9th, because this one's not popular. It really backfired. And now we're learning that it could cost $400 billion. So what's that going to do to the economy?
It's more bad news. It really is a kick in the teeth with the estimate from the Congressional Budget Office this week that the price tag for the student loan cancellation is, as you said, $400 billion. On top of that, $120 billion more for the delay in repayment. And then you've got $20 billion for the changes in the rate repayment. So the total price tag is actually $540 billion, which is just going to add to the current bad news on the economy, continue to push inflation up, and really make it harder for the American worker to feed their family and pay their bills while we have this massive handout going from the Biden administration timed to the politics of the upcoming election.
Yeah, I actually agree with Carly on this. The November 9th day, I think, is very prescient on her part. Meantime, along those lines, the backfiring of the student loan bailout, probably part of this. A new poll showing Americans are fed up with President Biden's botched handling of the economy on the whole. 74% of Americans have a negative view of our economy right now. That up from 58% in April of last year. That same poll also revealing that 84% of voters consider the economy a top issue heading into this year's midterm elections, with inflation following close behind at 76%. I'll throw in one more thing that's money related, Robert. Stock market plummeting. How does all of this play into what happens 6 weeks from today?
Well, 74% of Americans must have looked at their stock portfolio this week because, as you said, the stock market is down over 8% this week alone, over 20% year to date. This is the third week in a row of significant bad news for the economy, with record inflation, 8.3% 2 weeks ago. Last week, the Federal Reserve increased rates. This week, it's the stock market. So, Americans are struggling, and that's no surprise why the economy is one of the top issues as they head to the polls here in a couple of weeks. I think that anger that Americans feel by rising gas prices, by falling wages, is going to translate to the polls, where they're going to reject this administration's mishandling of the economy and register their anger at the ballot box.
Yeah, that's right. Americans are struggling, and gas prices have gone up for 7 straight days. And yesterday, President Biden once again blamed the oil and gas companies for the rising prices. Is that what's really happening here?
No, it's not. I mean, you look at how Americans have lost $7.6 trillion in wealth during this administration. The prices at the pump are not caused by the gas station operators. They're merely trying to pay their bills like every other business owner. These prices are being driven by the high inflation rate caused by the out-of-control spending and the terrible economic and fiscal policies by the Biden administration. Really, Joe Biden needs to take accountability for his actions and his decisions that's causing this pain on the American worker.
Well, at least the president didn't celebrate yesterday with an icon from 70s music to try to, gloss over a horrible time in our economy. But who knows? The week is still young. Robert Henneke, thank you very much.